Today I want to talk about tech scams. This is something we get a good at least handful of people every month, old and new clients calling us about. So let's go over some of the types of scams that you'll encounter and what to do when you do encounter them. So one of the most popular scams is a fake website pop-up that you'll get. Usually, the way you encounter this scam is you'll be searching for a site on the internet or you'll be typing in the web address. Um, and either you typed in the web address with one wrong character, and what the scammers do is they set up a website under that fake web address. So, for example, if you're going to google.com and you misspell Google as something else, a scammer may have registered that website that you are using so that they can try and lure you in by pretending they are Google. And they'll usually look something like this. You know, you'll get there, say, call this number, or you have an infection. So the scammer's primary method of drawing you in is always going to be fear. Okay, so if fear is the tool being used, the general rule is avoid it because it's likely a scam. Um, And we're just talking about tech scams, but scammers also use this by pretending you have an overdue bill, you haven't paid all your taxes, whatever it may be. It could be a phone scam as well. So, but the general rule is if you ever get somebody asking you for money and you don't 100% know who they are, avoid it. So that's one type of scam, which is website scams, where they try to lure you in by scaring you into thinking your computer is infected or your security is broken, and you call this number. Another type of scam you'll see is, and this one's a bit scarier, is an email scam. I remember the first time we came across this with a customer, and even we were a bit shocked because the title of the email is a password you have used in the past. So that kind of threw us off a bit, but the way that these tech scammers get those passwords is out there, or the dark web, they there are various password dumps. So these scammers, what they do is they buy these password dumps, which are associated with somebody's email address, sometimes name, phone number, etc. And they send them an email, and it looks just like this. It says, I know this is your password, and they mention the password, and we've seen you do this and that, and send us some Bitcoin. So automatically that should be a big red flag. Again, if you ever get an email like this, disregard it. If anybody emails you asking for money, even if they're pretending to be a relative, and sometimes what they'll do is they'll up here in the address section, they'll spoof your relative's name. So it might actually look like it's coming from someone you know, but oftentimes if you look at the email address, it's a little bit different or totally different from what they use. Sometimes even it'll be the same email address that your relative uses, and the way they send that to you is they have compromised your relative or your friend or whoever's email, and now what they're doing is they're automatically sending tons of emails out to everyone on their contact list. So it looks like your friend has actually asked you for money, or pretending they're stranded in the UK or something, and they're saying, hey, please send me money this way or that way. If you have any doubt, give them a call directly and make sure it's them. But 99.9% of the time, this is a scam. All right, and we kind of went over some of the email scams you'll come across. You'll get emails with links that lead you to fake sites, and they'll try to get you to click a link. Oftentimes, and I remember way back in the day when we were still using the AOL free trials, they would send this email scam where you'd click on a link and they tell you that you haven't paid um, your AOL subscription if you want to continue or if you want to renew, and they have you fill out a form, and that form includes a credit card number which you submit to them, and now the scammer has your name, your phone number, your credit card number, and they could basically, pretend to be you if they wanted to, and make purchases on your name. Um, a lot of tech support scams that you're going to see, let's go back to this one, a lot of these scams, if you do end up calling this number, what the first thing they're going to do is try to scare you. You know, they might pretend to play along. Okay, what's wrong with your computer? What's the error you got? And you'll tell them, oh, this thing popped up on my screen and it says I have a virus or my computer's at risk, and told me to call this number. Um, from there, they'll ask you to download a remote support tool. And we've seen scammers use GoToMeeting. They use official tools. That's not the problem. They will use things like GoToMeeting, TeamViewer, Supremo, AnyDesk, and so forth. And they'll get you to remote them into your computer. And at this point, they will likely pull up, for example, they might pull up the event viewer on your computer, and they will pull up the Windows logs, and they might go to system or something, and then filter the log by all the errors. Okay, so they'll look for anything critical or error, which, by the way, Windows will always have a ton of these errors. It doesn't mean your computer is broken. And they'll go through them and they'll go, oh, look at all these problems you have on your machine. We can fix these for you, and it's just going to be, $299, or if you want to sign up for our yearly plan, it'll be $1,000 or something. And we've had a lot of people, unfortunately, fall for these scams because they fell for the fear tactic. One customer we had just fixed her computer. It was a brand new Windows install. She needed to reinstall Norton. She was looking up their number. She calls the wrong number because she happened upon one of these fake sites, and sure enough, they try to scam her. She says, okay, you know what, I'm gonna call my tech. I have a tech already. Let's see what he says, and we'll go from there. And to scare her even more, poor lady, they told her, okay, if you do that, that's fine, but make sure you turn off all the electronics in your house, turn off your computers. They're just trying to terrify the poor girl into falling for their scam, which luckily she didn't remote them in or do any of that. Which brings us to our next topic. What happens if you do let them access your computer? From experience, I can say that while the safest thing to do if a scammer has been in your computer for any length of time is to completely reinstall Windows, because you don't know what their technical ability was, if they installed any back doors that allow them into your machine. I mean, we can go through, we can scan for viruses, we can look at their applications. Oftentimes, one tactic we've seen scammers use is they will install like TeamViewer as the primary way of getting into your computer. But then, once they're in, they'll also install and hide, even from your remove programs, they will hide another remote support tool. So if you remove the first one, they still have unattended access using the second tool, and they can get back anytime. So we're seeing that more and more as of last year. But basically, I can say in most cases, if a scammer was in your computer and they weren't in very long and you paid attention, they probably didn't install any backdoors or anything like that. But the tech community always will recommend a complete reinstall if you feel like they could have done something that you weren't aware of. Because even at that point, let's say we remove any viruses, which usually they don't install viruses, they just want your money, so they try to scare you. Sometimes they will change your password, or if you are on an older machine, they may even put a secondary password, which is very difficult, if not impossible, to get around without reinstalling your operating system. So if you come across anything like this, your first reaction should be, this is a scam, hang up, close it, whatever. Oftentimes I will add that these web pages will be hard to close. So you'll close them and they'll pop right back up. And what you can do there is you can close and save all your other programs and just restart your computer. If you do have a computer where or a browser where it remembers the last pages you were on, you'll probably still get this pop-up unless you're quick enough to close the tab before the page fully loads. Or what you can do is unplug yourself from the internet, disconnect from Wi-Fi or unplug the Ethernet cable, open the browser, close that tab, and then connect back on, and you shouldn't see that page come up anymore. So that's just kind of one of the topics we wanted to go over because it's so common these days, and scamming is a multi-million, if not multi-billion-dollar business at this point. So be careful, watch out for scams, don't believe everything you see on the internet, that's for sure, and take care.